Hi guys, this is the Bombay chef Varun Inamdar and welcome to Get Curried. Well, I promised to get world cuisine into your kitchen. Today it is Indo-Chinese. Well, who doesn't like Chinese? For today, it's Indo-Chinese chicken fried rice. So let's get watching. Well, for the chicken fried rice, what I'm doing is I've soaked some long grain rice in some water for 20 minutes. So what I'm doing is I've kept some water here to boil. I'm just adding in a little bit of salt. Remember, the salt is going to get drained out because we're cooking rice by draining method. Now that the water has come to a roll boil, I'm adding in the soaked rice. Now that this rice has been cooking for some 3 to 4 minutes, I'm sure it's 3/4 done, and that's how exactly we want it. So let me just quickly check this rice. So if you see, this rice is still a little undone. So that is exactly how we want this. So now is the time. The flame goes off and let me drain this entire into a colander. Please remember, the rice which has been draining has to cool off completely, otherwise the fried rice will just get mushy. So remember that. Now that the rice has cooled off completely, let's begin with the fried rice. So the first thing that goes in is some oil. The oil needs to be absolutely smoking hot. What I will do is, in the interim, cut the vegetables. So here I have some carrots and beans. I'm just dicing them into small cubes. So now that this oil is smoking hot, the first thing that goes in is some French beans. Next, the carrots. Give it a quick toss. Once these vegetables are almost done, goes in our rice, which is absolutely cooled off. A little bit of salt. Goes in half a teaspoon of soy sauce. So here goes in some fresh pepper, like so. And I'm going to quickly give this a toss. Now finally goes in a generous portion of some boiled chicken, which I have cut into cubes. And do not forget some spring greens. So I'm putting in half of this, the rest can go on top later. And you give it a quick toss. And there you have this beautiful Indo-Chinese fried rice ready in just a few minutes. I'm going to actually transfer this into a platter. Well, so if you've noticed, I've not used a traditional wok in this. I've done the same thing in a pan just to show that Chinese can also be made in things like these. So go wild, use the appliance that you're comfortable with. Now there's a surprise here to the chicken fried rice. I'm taking in some oil, and you know what I'm making? A sunny side up. I'm adding in a little bit of salt to this. I'm adding in a little bit of spring onions here, just to add to the color of it. And here you have this beautiful chicken fried rice ready in just a few minutes. I'm most definitely you're going to enjoy making this at home. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and wait for what the Bombay chef gets next into your kitchen. Haven't you gone yet? Go in your kitchens, make the recipe. Today, let's make a wonderful Indo-Chinese recipe, and this one is burnt garlic chicken fried rice. Hey guys, it's me, the Bombay chef Varun Inamdar, and welcome to Get Curried. Let's begin. First things first, let's begin with heating a wok on high flame, and to this, we're going to add in vegetable oil. We can of course begin with a little more oil, because this is the oil that's going to be used for frying the garlic. The same oil later can also be used as garlic oil, as a wonderful drizzle over pastas and pizzas. Remember that. The oil is heated up. Let's add in chopped garlic. We stir this on high flame And then once the garlic starts getting color, we reduce the flame because that will help in making it nice and crisp and will also ensure that the garlic does not burn. Let's transfer the oil and the garlic in the bowl. Well, this garlic is also going to continue cooking further in the same hot oil. So ensure that you remove it at the right time. And also, if you're looking at a nice deep golden color, remove this when it is just about to turn golden brown in color because it will continue cooking here. And then, there's a very small difference between burnt garlic. Well, we call it burnt garlic, but that does not mean necessarily that you have to burn the garlic. It means crisp, golden brown colored bits of garlic. Remember that. For this recipe, I'm going to take the same oil because of course, by now that has a lot of flavor of the burnt garlic, of course, and this needs to be kept aside. The wok is hot enough. Let's add in red onions, which are roughly cut. While this is cooking on high flame, I'm also going to start cutting the spring onions. Of course, the whites of the onions now and the greens would go in later. Let's add in the white onions to this as well and increase the flame to a full whack. Let's toss this on high flame. And with this, I'm going to add in mushrooms, which are completely optional in this case, but I personally love mushrooms in this recipe. So I'm adding in button mushrooms. Along with this, chicken. Now this is boiled cubed chicken, which is of course boneless and breast meat. And along with this, green chilies, which are again completely optional. Time to add in seasonings. Let's begin with salt. Along with this, freshly cracked black pepper. Along with light soy sauce. Give this a quick mix. Once this is stir fried and ready, the next ingredient is your hero ingredient, and that is rice. Now, you can choose between short grained and long grained rice depending on what you prefer. Well, I have used short grain for this recipe. Ideally, even leftover rice works perfectly well for something like this. In case you're using fresh rice, then make it at least an hour before, cool it down completely and only then put it to use. Let's add this to the stir fry mix. Along with this, I'm going to add in half the quantity of fried garlic. And along with this, half the quantity of spring greens. Let's mix all of this together, and remember a fact that this recipe needs to be cooked only on high flame, because if the flame gets reduced, this will become sluggish and almost mushy. Let's serve this. Finally, let's garnish this with some more spring greens along with burnt garlic.
Chicken triple Shezwan fried rice is one of the most loved Indo-Chinese dishes that you can find either on the streets or in restaurants, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. I'm Tarika, welcoming you to Get Curried, and we better get started. For fried rice, what I really like to do is use leftover rice from the night before. So what I'm using in this recipe is half a cup of basmati rice, which I had soaked and cooked yesterday. So my wok has heated up and I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of oil here. Almost immediately, I'm adding a teaspoon each of ginger and garlic. I'm just waiting for the raw smell of the ginger and garlic to go away. Now to this, while I'm stirring it, I'm going to add some finely sliced spring onion, the white part of it. We'll use the green later. And now to this, I'm going to add some finely chopped carrots and a little bit of French beans. Give that a good mix. Now to this, I'm going to add the rice. This is nice and cold. Hear that sizzle. Now it's not very traditional, but I really like to add some boiled noodles to my triple fried rice as well. I'm just going to go in with a handful, okay, maybe two, of some boiled noodles. Now this is not a Shezwan fried rice unless we've added the Shezwan sauce. So add a good 2 tablespoons. And we need some amount of salt in it, but for Chinese food, I just prefer adding soy sauce. Very quickly, just mix it through. That's it. This is absolutely done as soon as the Shezwan sauce is mixed through. And we're ready to serve this. Moving on to our gravy for the chicken Shezwan, a tablespoon of oil. And to this, almost immediately, I'm going to add 200 grams of chicken that I've sliced up finely and just marinated with salt and pepper, nothing more. I'm not looking to cook the chicken through here. I just want it to turn golden. I'm pulling the chicken out of the pan now. We let it cool and add it back into the pan later. Just about half a tablespoon of oil back in the pan. Teaspoon each of ginger and garlic. The ginger and garlic are nice and fragrant, lost that raw smell. So now's the time to add 1 large chunky capsicum, and then we're going to add the chicken back into the pan. Get all the juices in there too. Turn the heat up. Okay, now time to add the Shezwan sauce. A good 3 tablespoons of this. And again, just mix it through. Now it's time to add the chicken stock. You can use a vegetable stock as well. So this is 1 cup. I'm going to add almost all of it. Now to this, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a good tablespoon of ketchup, and this is a fairly spicy recipe, so we need to add some sugar, not too much, just about a teaspoon of sugar, a tiny pinch of pepper. I'm going to add to about 2 tablespoons of corn flour. Now corn flour doesn't dissolve in any kind of hot liquid. You definitely need to put it into a room temperature liquid. So I'm just going to mix it with that. Make sure that you mix it thoroughly with the stock, or even if you're using just water. And just add that to the gravy. Take the heat up, turn the flame on to high, because that will help the gravy thicken. Also stir it in. This is done when the chicken is cooked through, which will be very soon. Now the Shezwan sauce that I've made is of course a homemade one. If you want this recipe, you'll find a link to it in the description box below. This is nearly done. One final touch is to add a little bit of salt to taste. Recipe really doesn't need much salt. There's salt in every ingredient that we've added already. Take it off the flame, switch off the flame, and then add just a tiny amount, about half a teaspoon of vinegar and some spring onions. That's it. This is done. The final touch for any triple fried rice is the fried omelette. Oil to my frying pan here, and while that oil heats up, crack open an egg. Just give it a gentle whisk. All this needs is a tiny amount of salt. That's it. Whisk it again and just add it to this hot pan. I'm just going to add it on top of this rice, and we're ready to plate this up. Whether it's in restaurants or on the streets of Mumbai, fried rice is always a big hit. And today I'm going to show you how to make another quick and easy version of fried rice. This is egg fried rice. I'm going to start the egg fried rice by first cooking the eggs, and for that I need the pan to heat up. Now whenever you're cooking Chinese food, remember you need the wok to get nice and hot even before you pour the oil in it. So while I wait for that wok to heat up, I'm just going to crack open the eggs here. Okay, the wok is nice and hot. I'm just going to pour a bit of oil. This is again flavorless oil. Not too much, just about a tablespoon of oil. And just immediately add the eggs. Quickly just scramble it here. I'm just going to quickly season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. If you want to try to be a little inventive, you can even use soy sauce instead of the salt. Because the wok is really hot, you'll see that this has scrambled already. And already in just a matter of seconds, the eggs are cooked. Quickly, just take them out into a separate bowl. Again, I'm just going to wait for the pan to heat up slightly. It's already quite hot, but just while it heats up, this is the rice that we're going to use for the egg fried rice. Now this is just regular basmati rice. 1 cup of basmati rice that was cooked the night before. So this is essentially leftover rice. That's always best for fried rice. That's the rice I'm going to use today. Again, our pan is nice and hot. I'm just going to add some more oil to it. This time be a little bit more generous with the oil because we're going to cook ginger and garlic. It's about 2 teaspoons of ginger and the same amount of garlic, 2 teaspoons. Stir that around. This is just such great fast food. We're just waiting for the raw smell of the ginger and garlic to go away. You don't want them to brown. In Chinese cooking, you really just never want it to brown. I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of chili flakes. Again, just stir that around. And now I'm going to add the white part of spring onions. This is about 2 spring onions. And now I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. This is a light soy sauce. Beautiful, it smells so wonderful here. So now it's time to add the rice. And very quickly toss this around. And very quickly just add the scrambled egg back in. Add a tiny bit more of salt. Toss it around. That's it. The fried rice is nearly done. The first thing you need to do immediately is turn the heat off. Add a bit of the green part of the spring onion, just about 2 handfuls, and just a very tiny amount of vinegar. Just quickly toss that around. And we're ready to serve this.
Well, there are various reasons why food would generically be left over. You've had a party in the house, you've cooked in surplus, or kids or your husbands or wives or spouses have eaten and come home. Well, one ingredient that is generically cooked in surplus is rice. Well, today I have a recipe which is quick fried rice, and the best part is it uses not more than 5 ingredients. Hey guys, this is Varun Inamdar and welcome to Get Curried. Well, the star of this recipe is actually going to be the flavored oil. What I've done is I've made a flavored oil using chilies, garlic, star anise. You can use various ingredients. You can use spring onions, you can use black pepper. Just flavor the oil so that it gets that nice Asian flavor out. In this case, what I've done is taken some chili flakes, garlic and star anise. 2 to 3 tablespoons of this oil. Well, you can also throw in some fried garlic and star anise. Allow this to heat on high flame. Well, any flavored oil stays perfectly well if it's bottled well for a minimum of 30 to 45 days. So do that, keep it well so that all your Asian recipes become nice and quick. To this, I've added some nice fresh prawns. Well, in recipes like these where you're generally tossing up rice and things like that, do not really bother about the size of the prawns. Make sure they're nice, tiny, but nice, flavorful and fresh. Allow these to cook on high flame till they're almost well done. While cooking these tiny prawns, you'll realize that initially they release a lot of moisture. We need to dry that moisture out completely, and in the bargain what happens is the prawns get nice and flavorful. All the chili oil kind of wraps around the prawn. The next ingredient that would go in is the leftover rice. Time to add in the leftover rice. This rice, of course, an earlier night has been cooked with water and salt. Let's add this in. Along with this, I'm adding in soy sauce. Well, you can choose to add in dark or light depending on what you prefer. You can also choose to add in fish sauce or nampla. Remember the fact that all these ingredients that I've just mentioned have its own quantity of salt. Let's add in boiled sweet peas for the nice and vibrant green color. And the last thing is to toss this up well. A quick few tosses on high flame, and with this, your prawn fried rice, using of course leftover rice, is done and ready.
Thai fried rice is the perfect meal in itself. There's rice, veggies, chicken, and a beautiful balance of flavors. So let's get started with the recipe. There are three things that we need to get ready before we start cooking the Thai fried rice: the sauce mixture, marinating the chicken, and a paste. I'm going to start with the sauces first. So in this bowl, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. You can use a light soy sauce in this. And because Thai food is a nice balance of flavors, we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. You can use a natural, cane sugar, whatever you like here as well. 2 teaspoons of this, and just stir this together. Let's move on to marinating the chicken. I've got about 150 grams of boneless chicken, which I have sliced up to almost equal size here so that this cooks really quickly. Very tiny pieces. To this, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of fish sauce for some saltiness, and a good amount of freshly ground pepper. Just mix that together. Just set the chicken aside to marinate for some time while we move on to making the really fragrant paste. Now to this pestle and mortar, I'm going to add about 8 fat cloves of garlic, which I'm just going to crush one by one. Just give a rough bash to the garlic. That's nearly done. And now I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of finely minced ginger. And now this is the really deadly ingredient: 6 bird's eye chilies. These are special and unique to Thai cooking and really spicy, which is why we have the sugar in the sauce mixture that we made earlier. Again, just give this a rough bash. We're not looking at a very fine paste or anything. That looks really good. So now we can get on to making our Thai fried rice. I've got my wok heating up here already, and the first thing I'm going to do is toast some peanuts. These are unsalted peanuts. So just keep moving these around in the pan. The peanuts are nicely toasted, so I'm just going to set them aside to cool in this bowl. And now to this very hot wok, I'm going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of regular oil, because I want to fry up the paste. So make sure you have enough oil. Now goes in our very fragrant paste of garlic, bird's eye chili, and ginger. Whoa, it's hot. Cook this paste in the hot oil for a couple of minutes. The next thing I'm going to add is about 2 spring onions, the white part, just sliced up finely, and about a 1/4 cup of finely minced carrot. Now cook these on a high flame. The veggies have cooked for about 2 minutes. I'm just going to push them to the side of the pan before I add the chicken right to the center. And just make sure that you spread the chicken around so that it gets a chance to cook really well. As soon as you see the chicken starting to cook up really well on one side, just make sure that you mix it and stir fry it really well. Take the heat down to low now, and now we're going to add the rice. I've got 1 cup of basmati rice, which I cooked last night, and of course I've let it rest overnight in the fridge. And I'm going to add this in batches to this mixture here. You can also use leftover rice. Use about 3 to 4 cups of leftover rice if you have that. Mix it in batches. Now that all of the rice is mixed really well with the mixture here in the wok, I'm going to keep the flame on low and add the sauce mixture. And again, just make sure that it's mixed together really well with the rice, veggies and the chicken. And now to this, I'm going to add the real star of the dish, Thai basil. Now, if you can't find Thai basil, please feel free to use regular basil because nothing should stop you from making this Thai fried rice. Just add that as is, whole leaves, no need to chop it, and stir it into the fried rice. Make sure that the basil is completely wilted in this fried rice, and the last thing to do then is to add the toasted peanuts back into the pan. Stir them in again. This is almost done. I'm going to turn off the heat. And the last couple of things is to just adjust the amount of salt a little bit. I'm just going to sprinkle in a very tiny pinch of salt. And my favorite, a squirt of lemon juice. Mix that together really well. Our Thai fried rice is so fragrant and absolutely ready to eat. So I'm just going to serve it up in a plate. The Thai fried rice is absolutely ready. You can eat it as it is, but my favorite is to add a really nice fried egg on top. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've got this frying pan heating up here, to which I'm going to add some oil. Now to this hot oil, I'm going to add an egg to make a sunny side up. Egg is also absolutely ready, so I'm just going to top it up on the rice. Thai fried rice is a beautiful mix of flavors, and honestly, I just can't wait to tuck into this. I hope you try this recipe really soon and come back to Get Curried for loads more.